They once worked together a long time ago. They're not friends now. They don't like each other. And yeah, 50 has taken every shot, especially when Diddy has been down.
There's a lot of people, 50, I feel like you don't have to say nothing, but 50's crazy. He's been like this his whole life. When he's on the block, oh, 50's coming.
They've been photographed toasting billion-dollar milestones, sharing stages, and standing shoulder to shoulder as the architects of modern hip-hop royalty. But if the latest rumors are even half true, then Jay-Z hasn't just turned his back on Diddy. He might be the one holding the knife. After the release of 50 Cent's explosive Netflix documentary, Sean Combs' The Reckoning, insiders say Jay-Z quietly made his move, not just to distance himself from a crumbling empire, but to protect his own. We're now hearing whispers that Jay, once Diddy's closest friend and business twin, may have slipped 50 Cent key information, just enough to keep his own name out of the wreckage. Diddy, now behind bars and staring down dozens of lawsuits in a multi-year sentence, is reportedly in a panic. Because if anyone knows where the bodies are metaphorically or maybe not so metaphorically buried, it's Sean Carter.
If that's part of the indictment, that's somewhat like a blackmail. He was blackmailing people to be in the freak-offs. So that's federal. That could be that's a federal charge. He can't blackmail people to say, yo, listen here, you did it once and you're gonna do it again. That ain't gonna make it with the government or nobody.
The idea that Jay-Z could be cooperating with 50 Cent might have sounded ridiculous months ago, but then came the clip. Just days before the document's release on December 2nd, 50 Cent posted a now viral video showing Jay-Z's face deepfaked onto Lionel Richie in a UR music video paired with a caption. "This is the message Jay-Z sent me when he realized he's not in the Diddy dog." It was a joke, but it hit nerves. Why wasn't Jay-Z in the documentary? His history with Diddy goes back decades. They performed together, collaborated, shared charity events, and bragged publicly about building generational wealth side by side. You don't leave that kind of name out by accident, unless that name made sure he wasn't in it.
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their...
And that's where the Whisper campaign started. Because in the middle of a docu-series packed with insiders, survivors, investigators, and behind-the-scenes footage allegedly smuggled out of Diddy's own personal archives, Jay-Z's absence is more than just suspicious. Strategic. Industry sources say he might have offered quiet cooperation behind closed doors. Not on the record, not in front of cameras, but just enough to avoid becoming collateral damage. And when you look at the stakes, it makes brutal sense. Jay-Z is a brand now. He's not just a rapper. He's an empire. Streaming, sports, celebrations, and partnerships with the NFL and LVMH. A public scandal wouldn't just cost him credibility. It could vaporize hundreds of millions overnight. It's not hard to see why Jay would want a clean exit. In 2024, he was pulled into a horrifying civil lawsuit filed by a Jane Doe who claimed both Diddy and an unnamed male celebrity assaulted her at a party back in 2000. When the suit was amended later that year, Jay-Z's name was added. He denied everything, calling it an extortion attempt and promising to fight it in public court. The suit was later dropped, but the stain lingers, and so does the timing. Just months after the lawsuit vanished, the Netflix doc went live, and Jay was nowhere to be seen. We're watching what looks like a deliberate erasure, an extraction from a sinking ship. Because if even a fraction of the footage and allegations in The Reckoning is real, then Jay had every reason to want out before the house collapsed. And unlike Diddy, who's been accused of everything from orchestrating private encounters at so-called freak-off parties to hiding surveillance footage of celebrities, Jay's worst alleged sins have so far stayed quiet, possibly by design. Insiders who spoke off record suggest Jay's team has been quietly scrubbing any digital traces connecting him to certain events, certain properties, and even certain flights. If true, it's not just damage control. It's witness strategy.
So what happens now is this is simply a civil complaint. And in a civil complaint, it goes through the technical legal process. Now, the distinction, Jessica, between civil and criminal, of course, is that civil is for monetary damages, right? The system can only reward you with money. There's allegations that this 13-year-old is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, suffered depression, etc. So now you go to fact find.
Their friendship has already shown cracks under pressure. Let's rewind to 1999. Jay-Z was charged with assault after a stabbing incident in a Manhattan club. Diddy that same year was involved in a nightclub shooting that ended with his artist Shine taking the fall. Both men escaped jail, but their shared past isn't just marked by legal drama. It's laced with liability. They've been at the same parties, signed the same NDAs, and operated in the same gray spaces of power, silence, and performance. When lawsuits started stacking up against Diddy, including allegations of hidden cameras, private trafficking rings, and a cache of compromising videos, the obvious question became, who else knew? And there's no way Jay didn't. Not just because they were close, but because of how long they were close. From Rock Nation brunches to that infamous 2020 toast about black billionaires sticking together, their alignment wasn't subtle. They co-signed each other's legacy. And now that very legacy could be why Jay is moving like a man cutting rope. If Diddy's empire burns down and Jay's name is nowhere in the fire, well, someone cleared that path.
Are scared of him. I think they more so, they don't want him to embarrass their reputation and things that they've been known for. You understand? I think that
50 Cent, who spent years needling both men online, seems to know exactly what he's doing. His mockery isn't just for laughs. It's a pressure valve. By spotlighting Jay's absence, he's signaling something else. That silence might not be innocence. That cooperation might have already happened. And for Diddy, currently locked up in New Jersey's Fort Dix federal facility, the realization must be chilling. His worst enemy might not be the man producing the documentary Buttix documentary, but the one who helped make it possible. Now, the question isn't just whether Jay-Z gave information. It's what he gave. Because if he traded details, dates, locations, non-locations, Andy's just locations, and just enough to be edited out of history, then he's not a bystander. He's an architect, a quiet player in a takedown disguised as distance. And that makes him dangerous. The kind of dangerous that doesn't raise his voice, doesn't post online, then online, doesn't sue, just moves in silence while someone else takes the fall. We've already seen how the documentary laid out timelines, internal footage, EVE Online, and footage, and an alleged surveillance video filmed without consent. If Jay ever appeared in those raw archives, and now he's been scrubbed clean, it raises serious questions. Who controlled the edit? Who brokered access to the unreleased content? And why was Jay's team, according to one entertainment attorney familiar with the matter, allegedly monitoring the doc's production months before the public even knew it existed? Meanwhile, Diddy's legal team is throwing everything at the wall, calling the footage stolen, accusing Netflix of corporate betrayal, through footage and betrayal, and creating lawsuits left and right. But the louder he screams, the quieter Jay gets. Not a word of support, no statement, no appearance, no comment. That's not indifference, betrayal, and indifference. That's insulation.
Diddy claimed that somebody held a knife to his throat. He woke up and this guy basically had him and he had the knife, and Diddy was at this person's mercy. Now, it's unclear what exactly happened from there. Was there a guard that came in? Did Diddy somehow fight this person off? Well, seems unlikely that happened. Or did the person just leave? Bottom line, this guy, at least according to people close to Diddy and Diddy himself, could have hurt him badly or even taken his life.
And it might go even deeper. According to a former associate who worked security for both men in the early 2000s, there were incidents never made public. Disputes, threats, recordings, and one alleged moment involving a Gawain difference. Dog being quietly relocated from one estate to another during a federal sweep. The implication: Jay may have already distanced himself long before the public fallout began. What we're witnessing might not just be a friendship ending. It could be a cover-up dog-up unraveling, a high-stakes up-stakes chess game where one player sacrificed the other for the board. If Jay did cooperate with 50 Cent or even just allowed certain details to surface, then it's not just Diddy who should be worried. Because the next logical question is, what else might he be willing to give? Because if Jay-Z's betrayal is tactical, if this was never about loyalty, BU stakes loyalty but leverage, then we have to ask loyalty but ask, what is he really protecting? And what secrets has he buried so deep that Diddy's silence or imprisonment is now the safest possible outcome? Let's go back to the one lawsuit that should have detonated headlines worldwide. WASC, worldwide but barely rippled the news cycle, the 2000 house party allegation. The original filing named Diddy, but months later, the amended version dropped a bomb. Jay-Z was allegedly in that room too. The same room where a woman underage at the time claimed she blacked out after being given a drink, only to wake up in a situation no one should ever experience. Jay denied it publicly. Diddy denied it too. Then the case was dropped, gone, disappeared without trial. But the stain didn't vanish. The timing of it all demands a second look because not long after Jay's name was added to that lawsuit, the Netflix documentary production ramped up and the editing began. Diddy was in it. Survivors, former staff, alleged victims, fed worldwide but victims, Andrel investigators, but Jay in victims and no appearances, no mentions, not even a stray headline in the doc's four-part structure. Just nothing. For someone who's been glued to Diddy for decades, the silence is loud, just loud. And the omission feels engineered. So what if Jay didn't just dodge the bullet? What if he aimed it? Insiders familiar with early versions of the documentary claim at least 2 key stories involved a major music figure who requested to be removed. No names confirmed, but the coincidence is hard to ignore because Jay-Z didn't just back away from Diddy during this spiral. He vanished from the narrative entirely. And that raises the unsettling possibility. Was he eliminating a liability before it turned into exposure? We also can't forget what's on the line. Jay-Z's image isn't just platinum records and power moves. It's marriage to Beyoncé. Loud Beyoncé. It's investment portfolios T-Biance. Portfolios are to corporate giants. It's a billion-dollar portfolios are a billion-dollar and that hinges on the illusion of control. Even one credible scandal could unravel years of meticulous image building. And there's one place where that illusion could implode instantly. Diddy's private footage vault. As far as is he going to turn people in? Is he going to cooperate? If the federal government wants him to cooperate and they go if the orang to cut his time cause right hey are. Because it now he's looking at 15 to life with all the charges he had because he won't get out till 70 I has till he sears old. He up till his he ice out 70. That's when they start talking about letting him come to a halfway house. Let's talk about those tapes. Multiple lawsuits, including one from producer Rodney Lil Rod J. He is Lil Rod ones, allege that Diddy installed hidden cameras across his homes in LA and Lil Rod laying in Miami, even possibly in private jet cabins. These weren't just security systems. The claims say he recorded everything. Private encounters, confidential meetings, celebrities, and compromising situations. According to the filing, Diddy was obsessed with documentation, creating a personal archive of everyone who walked through his doors. If Jay-Z was ever caught on those cameras, that footage becomes currency or blackmail or both. Jones's lawsuit explicitly states that some of the recordings included famous figures engaging in illegal activity without their knowledge. That alone would be a scandal. But if Jay's lawyers caught wind of even one clip tying him to those tapes, the logical next step wouldn't be confrontation. It would be containment, silent cooperation, a purge of past associations, and perhaps a strategic phone call or two to documentary producers with final cut privileges. Interestingly, we haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time lag. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensics. Evidence. We already know Diddy's homes were raided. Homeland Security hit both his LA and Miami properties in March 2024. They seized devices, hard drives, documents, and, according to sources, physical media that included private footage. The public doesn't know what was found, but someone does, and that someone could very well be Jay-Z. His total disengagement from the public fight isn't just silence, it's isolation. The kind that comes from knowledge, not distance, because Jay hasn't issued a single statement about the documentary. Not even a denial. He didn't defend Diddy. He didn't attack 50 Cent. He didn't clarify his own absence. He watched the storm roll in from behind closed doors and didn't flinch. That's not apathy. That's calculation. I was with a girl and he was asking about her and then he was asking me stuff like, would you be interested in somebody watching? He was just asking some really bugged out questions. And I still have those emails. I still have all that, So, that's one of the things that I was going to include in the book. I'm just trying to figure out how. And when we dig into the timeline, it gets even more suspicious. Around the time the doc was finalized, Jay's team quietly registered several new business entities unrelated to music, investments in data privacy software, content moderation tools, and one company reportedly exploring artificial intelligence-based voice authentication. That's a strange portfolio pivot for someone whose empire has always revolved around entertainment, sports, and branding. Unless, of course, those new ventures are part of a larger strategy to protect, control, or erase the past before someone else weaponizes it. And let's not forget who's sitting in a cell right now. Diddy isn't just losing money. He's losing time. 4 years in federal prison, convicted of transporting individuals for illegal encounters under the Mann Act. The bigger charges didn't stick, but the message was sent. He's vulnerable. His empire is bleeding. And if he goes down swinging, he might not go alone. That's where the threat lies. Because Diddy has nothing left to lose. He's already facing a flood of civil suits. He's being investigated by multiple jurisdictions. And if he knows that his former friend turned his back or worse, helped orchestrate this collapse, he may decide to open the vaults, flip the narrative, and burn every bridge. So, is Jay-Z betting on silence? Or is he gambling that Diddy won't retaliate? Maybe that's why we're seeing sudden legal aggression from Diddy's team, cease and desist letters flying toward Netflix, threats of lawsuits over stolen footage, and media statements accusing 50 Cent of personal vendettas.